Welcome back to the No Clue Podcast, episode 158. We are back. NBA season preview. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Mike.
I'm Tyler. Welcome. And back to doing what we do best. NBA season previews every year.
I'm ready.
Where are we starting? LA?
They've had the most eventful preseason, I would think.
Why do you say that?
Just because they've looked really bad.
Yeah.
Like Chicago has looked great and nobody really cares because it's preseason.
Yeah.
But the Lakers have been trash. I think their bubble championship year, they were trash in the preseason.
Yeah. They were.
But they look so bad.
They were bad in the beginning of the season in that year too.
Exactly. But they look so bad that people are noticing. And I've never seen that in the preseason where people are like, oh my God, like maybe the Lakers aren't that good.
Right. Yeah.
You've seen a little bit more. What do you think?
From what I've seen, Anthony Davis, first of all, he looks overweight, right? I feel like that everyone has seen that by now. But from how they're playing, he looks like he fits in the least to me, based on how they're playing so far. Like, obviously, during the season, he's one of those guys. He likes to exploit his mismatches. He's going to back people down more. But now with this ISO thing that he was doing last season that we both criticized at times, it looks really bad with Westbrook out there. Like, it looks horrific.
I just don't understand why it's almost like that's the only way he could play now.
It looks like that, yeah. And we know that's not true, but
right.
I'm not sure. I think that Vogel and LeBron feel that stretches the floor the best, I guess. But stretches the floor for who at this point, right? Like,
I hope they don't think like that because they're dumber than I thought if they do. Because he's a guy, he's never showed me the ability to handle double teams.
No, he hasn't.
Never. And
turns the ball over a lot from double teams.
And they double him with like randoms. It's not specific like size guys.
Right.
Yep. Regular guards come double him and he doesn't know how to react.
Yeah.
So again, I'm not saying their season is like it's code red, obviously.
Right.
I think they'll be fine. They're obviously going to win a lot of games. They have depth. A couple of their guys like Monk is hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I think Monk will even out the rotation a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I can't pick this team to win a title if one of their stars doesn't belong on the floor, another star is overweight, and then LeBron's in the middle of all that, not really playing.
I know, at his age too.
Right.
And then you have a team full of, for lack of a better term, renegades with Kendrick Nunn and Malik Monk and Westbrook.
Yeah.
Just.
And the only one that's fit in is some guy named Austin Reeves.
Yeah.
None of their
signings. They just signed this year, by the way. Towards the beginning of the preseason, they signed them.
None of the guys they picked up Melo's obvious. He's going to fit.
He's going to do what he does, yeah.
But none of the guards, either they haven't played or they haven't really looked good out there, including Westbrook.
And Horton Tucker has taken a step down from what I've seen. I mean, he had one nice dunk, but
I also don't know what he's out there for.
Me either, man. It looks like he just kind of puts pressure on the defense here and there, but the defense doesn't care really what he does because he has like a ceiling to how he's gonna hurt you, how much he's gonna hurt you as a defense.
Yeah.
So
I guess, and I don't want to stick with the Lakers too long because there's a lot of teams I like that I want to talk about, but it's gonna come down to LeBron, obviously, but the problem is last year he was forcing the team to get involved way too much.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time it's like we're a quarter and a half into the game and we have to be down 20 to figure out that the team is not involved.
Yeah.
So in LeBron, who's not as quite dominant as he used to be, he can't recover from that.
Right.
He doesn't have the capability. At least he didn't against Phoenix.
Right.
And Phoenix, to me, wasn't that great defensively.
I agree.
So
it was in spurts. But
right.
Yeah.
But for him not to be able to control the game anymore, at least in the playoffs, it's going to come back to haunt them this year.
Yeah.
Even if they're healthy, which they won't be.
Of course not.
So they have a lot of concerns.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have a lot of time to figure it out. So I'm not too stressed about it.
I tell you what, if Anthony Davis is in tip-top shape, I mean, DeAndre looks great. Like he's going to get a lot of minutes some nights.
Oh yeah,
for them. I mean, he's fits perfectly. He does exactly what Westbrook needs him to do. He does exactly what LeBron needs him to do. He does exactly what Anthony Davis needs him to do. But I could see a lineup without Anthony Davis out there on the floor at times for long stints of the game. Not saying that he's not going to start or he's not going to finish the game, but I could see his limits definitely decreasing when they want to go to a more controlled, spread the floor, pass the ball kind of game, because he's a ball stopper. I mean, we've talked about that all season. He holds the ball for a long time in the shot clock, and this team doesn't look like a team that is going to do that.
Yeah, and I just don't understand why he only does that now.
It's a good question.
Hopefully maybe Rondo could help him out.
I don't know.
But again, if you're not willing to get up and down and play pick and roll and move around, you're going to get exposed like he did last year.
Yeah. Anthony Davis needs to develop a consistent and quicker catch and shoot ability, because that pivot move he does where he catches it and then he dips real low and it takes him a long time to get the shot off.
Yeah.
And guys end up maybe hitting him on the wrist by the time he lets the shot go off because he shoots so slow. That they're not going to be able to do that with this roster. Not at all.
Yeah. And the other problem is their roster has become more dependent on him to be a good defensive team.
Yeah, they have.
Like they only look good defensively with him out there.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't even want to get back. So like with LeBron's turnover problems, combine that with Westbrook's turnover problems.
With two big men that are foul prone, Dwight and DeAndre are both, they'll foul out of games, nothing. That's common. Westbrook will foul out of a game, common. Wayne Ellington can't stay in front of anybody.
It's just towards the end of the season, their turnovers and their response to their turnovers was, to me, the ugliest in the league.
And then they added the turnover king.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
It like Harden, I understand Harden's turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
With Russ, it's just awful decision making all the time.
Right.
So if you're doing that in the preseason, it's not going to translate well. You're not going to wake up opening night and make every right play.
Right. At least Harden tries to throw a risky bounce pass and it hits somebody in the leg and he gets back on D. Like Westbrook just throws it straight out of bounds. It's like bad alley-oop, goes off the backboard, nobody's back, stuff like that, Yeah. Okay. Who's next?
We could talk about the Clippers a little bit. Stay with LA.
Well, they're battling injuries early, of course. Always will be.
Right. Do you think Paul George could keep this team in the top tier of the West?
Yes.
I did.
But Ty Lue has to buy into that. And in the playoffs, he really was reluctant to buy all the way into it. And
it was
by the time
selective.
He did, and by the time he did, it was too late, or he wouldn't do it for the full game. I think the playoffs showed us, if anything, for this Clippers team, it showed us that Paul George can be the leader of this team, and the ball can go through him every time down court. He played point for like 3 games in their final series. So
I agree, man. The reason I agree is because of the playoff run.
Yeah.
It wasn't consistent, but Paul George, I've seen him dominate the regular season before.
Yeah.
And this team, the way they move the ball, especially without Kawhi, they're capable of beating anybody.
Yeah.
And they're like, defensively, they're kind of weird because sometimes they're awful, but they do find a way to get stops. So I think they'll be fine. But again, it's going to come down to, can Paul George be the best player almost every night?
Yeah. And the thing is, they got some new personnel. You know, they got Bledsoe, they got Ibaka is back.
That's big.
They picked someone else up, didn't they? Maybe not.
Here's the issue. I do have a slight concern because a lot of their problems in the playoffs were covered by Reggie Jackson's incredible play.
He's back.
Are they? I mean, he's back, yes, but does he continue what he did in the playoffs is my concern.
I think he does.
But it's like, how much of that will they need is I guess the real concern.
Well, I think one thing is, and this can be for better or for worse, Bledsoe is clearly more of a threat than Patrick Beverley was on offense. Now, it may not be that much more of a threat.
It's not going to look good every night. It might look rough some nights.
It may look rough some nights, but it's to the point where Bledsoe can drive and kick better than Beverly ever can. Beverly barely gets by guys. If he does, it's like, I'm going straight to the basket. Like this, his kick out game was non-existent because if he blew past somebody, he had to lay it up.
And Beverly like misses layups, like easy ones.
Right. And that's not really Bledsoe's. Bledsoe doesn't miss a lot of layups. If Bledsoe goes to the basket, he goes strong. He may get fouled. He may miss both free throws, but at least you got a foul on the big guy, at least. So I think Bledsoe being more of a threat definitely helps Reggie, because now you have dual threats at the guards. You have Paul George still being able to shoot. Bledsoe has pretty good vision also. So I think that'll free up Reggie in different ways than Beverly could have. Because a lot of times Reggie just played good because Beverly wasn't in the game, you know?
Yeah. And a lot of times it was just great individual play. It had nothing to do. Like Paul George, a lot of it was ball movement and, you know, guys creating shots for him. With Reggie Jackson, it was none of that.
Right.
Everything was individual and ISO.
And when Kawhi wasn't there, Paul George could get on a roll and he would keep getting the ball. And that was so huge in the playoffs. And Bledsoe is one of those guys. He plays basketball. If you're feeling it, Bledsoe brings it right back to you. He did it with Greek Freak. He did it with Zion this past year. He's a different kind of teammate in that way. Bledsoe will take a back seat for the whole game sometimes, even if you do need him to score. Sometimes he will take that back seat. So I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be pretty good. Ibaka, like you said, getting Ibaka back was really, really, really huge.
Yeah, it evens out their front court depth a little bit because Zubac, like he's showed me a lot of good things, especially in the playoffs, but he's foul trouble prone.
Right.
So
then they had to go with that weird depth. Right. And they went to that weird lineup with Batum at the center.
Yeah.
And Ayton was eating. They needed
only Utah couldn't guard that.
Right. So, but he couldn't guard Gobert either.
Right.
So. All right. I'm excited to see them. I really do want to see. I'd like to see what peak Bledsoe and peak Paul George looks like on the same time. At the same time on the court.
Yeah,
I don't know
I'm
if
weird,
it happens, but
I'm not excited to see them, but I think they'll be way better than people think. But
Why are you
I kind of
excited to
have
see it then?
because I've seen Paul George be great. It's not
Yeah.
a surprise. Like it's not something I'm looking for because I know what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm confident that they'll win a lot of games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am too. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the Bulls. Let's take it to the East. You mentioned the Bulls earlier.
Okay.
Their highlights have been, very prominent already. Yes. They look spectacular, man. And their depth is crazy. At least at the guard spot. The depth. Yeah. They got the Sumo from Illinois, the rookie. They got Kobe White still. Add Caruso, add Ball, add DeRozan, and Levine. It's just, and then they got Derrick Jones Jr. too with Levine and DeRozan.
Oh, he's a good guy to start at the 4 for them.
He is. He's an underrated 4 because I mean he can go both ways, 3, 4. He's long enough. He obviously jumps high enough to block anybody's shot. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the chemistry obviously looks great. Mm-hmm. And I love that already I'm looking at like Levine is much more of a willing passer than I've seen, even more than last year.
I was going to say the exact same thing, man. They have a bunch of willing passers now, finally.
Yep. And I told you, as soon as I saw them, I hit you up saying, dude, Lonzo and Caruso out there at the same time is like the peak of team basketball.
It is.
Because those guys aren't capable of being ISO players. They'll move the ball, but they'll be aggressive at the same time.
They don't take bad shots. Nobody on this team takes bad shots.
Exactly.
It looks like so far.
Again, there's off-season signings as far as chemistry goes have been top tier.
Yeah.
And DeRozan, maybe 3-4 years ago, I would have questioned DeRozan as a chemistry fit. Mm-hmm. But we saw in San Antonio that he could be a good team player.
Yeah.
He could be more than just like an ISO mismatch guy.
He's whatever you need him to be. Now,
exactly.
And at that time, Toronto, they didn't really have much else for him to be too much of a team player. And now it's I mean, he played point guard, he played power forward for San Antonio. He's done it all.
And DeRozan thrived. Yeah, he thrived in San Antonio, and they didn't even have that good of spacing.
No, they didn't.
Which is something I would think DeRozan would need, and this team is only better at that.
Right.
So it's hard for me to picture this team losing too many games, to be honest.
Yeah, and you got Billy Donovan coaching, and you got Vucevic
cherry on top right there.
I mean, it's just he's already designed plays for them. That back door, that's a play. You can see it because every highlight I've seen has been the same backdoor cut from everybody.
Yep.
They overload on one side. The guy comes up, he goes backdoor, and it's having those guys, those leapers going backdoor is just stupid, man. Everybody has gotten a dunk already in preseason. So
I think they're going to be so much fun. I mean, I guess if I had to pick a concern or reach for one is can they get stops?
Mm-hmm.
Because Vucevic isn't really a shot blocker. Derrick Jones is like a highlight guy. He doesn't get stops.
Right.
So maybe defensively they'll have problems, especially when we get closer to the playoffs. But again, this team has the firepower to overcome that, even if they can't get stops.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure who their backup center is.
Me neither.
Yeah, because they let Tyson go. I'm not sure who plays backup center for them. So that was my concern. The guard depth is there. It's amazing. Probably the best guard depth in the league. But they're down low. It is curious to see. It's going to be curious to see how they do get stops. But I tell you what, there's one thing. If they get stops, is off to the races on this team. I feel like they're going to lead the league in fast break points. I don't know how they don't.
Yeah.
Because Caruso's one of those guys. He gets the steal. He's going straight to the basket.
Takes off. Lonzo, same thing. Levine, DeRozan. I mean, these guys are athletes.
Lonzo looks up. He makes that. He likes that little quarterback pass. Right down, catch a guy cutting. I mean, he loves that. That's
and Lonzo's shot looks even better. He looks like he's still improving his release.
And he's going to give more shots because you have to help on everybody. You know?
Yep.
You have to help. You can't let DeRozan get by. You can't let Levine get by. Can't let Caruso get by. Not that I think Caruso's going to play all that much. But, I mean, how they have him playing now, it looks good.
Yeah, I'm curious who the bulk of their backup guard minutes will go to.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard for me to picture a scenario where it doesn't look good.
Yeah. Because Kobe White, he's earned his spot on this team. I mean, he's going to be the backup point.
Yeah.
It's, I think Caruso being moving Caruso to the 2 is probably better anyway. Yeah. I think the Lakers tried to fiddle around with him at the 1 and it didn't look good. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say about them, man. They look good. They look fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Really fun.
Yep. Okay. Who's next?
Let's stay in the East. Let's talk Philly.
Okay.
Messy off season.
Yeah.
But they kept their depth.
Yeah.
Apparently Ben Simmons is, easing his way back into the organization.
Yeah, he's reported back to Philly. Yeah.
You know what's crazy to me? I think they could be great with Ben Simmons not wanting to be there and still playing.
Why you say that?
Because this team is the core of the team has been together for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I would expect Simmons now. He's looking at the situation like, yo, I need to prove that I'm a top tier player, so they could get rid of me faster.
Yeah, it's possible.
So, and maybe not, but again, I think he's always played like an elite all-around player.
Yeah.
And ever since they figured out their depth last year, it's hard for me to picture this team losing.
Yeah.
I just think they're that good. They could win every way defensively. They could win in shootouts. Yep. Again, last year they showed that it doesn't have to be Embiid carrying or Simmons carrying. I mean, they showed me Korkmaz could get off for this team.
Didn't he have like 40 in the preseason game?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, 30-something.
They give him, even in the playoffs, they showed that they're willing to play through role players.
Yeah.
They finally played through Tobias Harris for extended possessions. Again, Korkmaz created offense, and it made the bench that much better.
That's one thing Doc has always been good at.
Yeah.
Even if you're a scrub, if you're feeling it, it's your night, and that's it. Yeah. Think about Leon, the show Poe. Remember that?
You're reaching way back, but yes.
He was trash.
Oh, yeah.
But he had like 4 amazing games. And Doc had him out there like the whole game. He was eating. But he was
the worst bench guy they had. And he would go off sometimes.
He would go off. And I mean, you don't get the nickname The Show coming off the bench unless you were going crazy, So, yeah. I mean, that's just an example. Doc used to let guys do that. Matt Barnes has in big games in LA. He let Wesley Johnson have good games in LA. Obviously, if Jamal was feeling it, CP would be out for a long time. Let Jamal just keep eating.
It's funny because Wesley Johnson was so trash, even Doc couldn't save his career.
No, he couldn't. No.
Like he really tried too.
He did.
But couldn't. But what's interesting to me again is they're so deep that even if Ben Simmons, if this drama continues and he isn't playing or whatever the situation looks like, I think they'll be fine.
I don't know if they'll be fine, but they'll be all right. Yeah. Defensively, they'll be, I won't say crippled, but it'll be noticeable, I think.
Without him defensively, yes. But again, they're perfectly fine winning shootouts.
Oh, yeah. On offense, I don't think they have any issue without Ben.
Right. And I would expect, like I mentioned with Simmons kind of being motivated to prove people wrong, I would hope Embiid has some of that as well. Because maybe not to prove people wrong, but to prove that he could succeed without Ben.
I don't know if I want that from Embiid.
I'm fine with it.
It depends on how he manifests that, right? Because if you manifest that by going out and getting triple doubles every night, I'm cool with it. But if you manifest that by trying to get 50 and 28 rebounds every night, I don't want to see that. They're not going to win games that way.
Because he
did that last season.
I'm fine with that. I think they'll win games doing that as well. I really don't have like concerns for them until we get towards the playoffs, unless they get hit by injuries or again the Ben Simmons drama just goes crazy for whatever reason.
Is Drummond an upgrade or a downgrade from Dwight? And did you see the steal he had at half court?
Yeah, I mean he's a slight downgrade.
Okay.
But very slight to the point where I don't think, again, it doesn't really make or break the team in any way.
I think he's an upgrade for them. And not that I think he's better than Dwight, because I think Dwight is an upgrade from him on LA. But I think he's an upgrade from Dwight because him being out there with Embiid can work better than Dwight being out there with Embiid could.
I don't want to see that. I tell you right now.
It could. Embiid can take all the threes he wants as long as Drummond is out there.
But you see, then we got a deep dive how Embiid is going for his 50.
But that was my point. That's why I don't want him to go for 50.
And I don't want to linger.
When he likes to show his full, when he shows his full package, it's like, I don't like when he tries to show his full package. I just want him to go get buckets, inside. But sometimes he doesn't. He wants to show the step backs and turnarounds and the rip throughs and all that stuff.
Yeah. I will tell you what, if it is 50-25 for Embiid on a nightly basis, and obviously exaggerating the stats, but Atlanta showed that blueprint it makes them beatable. Because it was the same trajectory that I talked about throughout the playoffs, that series specifically. Right. Embiid looks unstoppable for 2.5 quarters. And then in the fourth quarter, Atlanta has the better center.
Right.
Capella was routinely outplaying him in meaningful minutes.
Yeah, he was.
And a lot of that is because he's working so hard to dominate that he runs out of gas. Now, granted, his knee is healthy, so, hopefully that'll be better. But I just don't think he's not in good enough shape to do what maybe Jokic does.
Right.
Where he could run all night, he could play through the team, he could, take as many shots as are given to him.
Right. So if he does that, not what Jokic does, but I'm saying if he takes a more passive route of saying, I can lead this team without Ben, I'm all for that. And I think it will look amazing. But if he can show, like, I'm great without Ben, I don't want to see that because I don't think the team is going to benefit from that.
Yeah. And I think it'll be a struggle at some points in the year. I do think he'll have huge stat games that they might lose, or like it'll be a tough game for them against like a bad team, for example. And I don't trust him to lead them like as a top tier team player because we know how toxic he is at this point. But again, this team is so good that maybe they slip in the standings. Maybe they're not a number 1 seed, but they're not missing the playoffs.
Right. That's true.
Again, unless something completely unexpected happens.
No, I don't expect them missing the playoffs either. No, not at all. Well, let me ask you this. Milwaukee, what's the
pinnacle of the Eastern Conference right now?
Yeah, what's their contention ranking to you? Like how high of contender are they to you?
Oh, they're the best team in the East.
They're the best team in the East still right now?
No question.
Okay.
There's no doubt in my mind. And the interesting thing about them is every issue we had with them for years, they like, it's not that they overcame it, they finally learned from it.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the issues were still there, because outside of Miami, they struggled in every series.
Yeah.
So they're not unbeatable.
Right.
But again, I saw every series they learned what they need to do to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Holiday kind of figured out where and how to take better quality shots from game to game.
Yep.
Greek Freak dominated more and more as the different series progressed, because he continued to attack.
Yeah.
He finally said, yo, I don't need to show you that I'm working on like my shooting. I'm just going to attack.
Yeah.
Like we saw in the Nets series, the first couple games, Blake did a really good job on him.
Yep.
In the last 2-3 games, nobody could stop him.
Nobody.
Same thing with Phoenix. As the series progressed, the Monty Williams looked stupid keeping just DeAndre Ayton on him.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw all over ESPN and criticism how that was a dumb decision, but it was working to start the series.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But again, Giannis didn't relax. The one game Ayton gets in foul trouble, Giannis literally sat in the paint.
Yeah.
So again, I just saw a willingness to learn from every player on the team, including Middleton. Again, even guys like Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
I don't see how this team doesn't give me another 65 wins.
Does Bobby start this year? PJ Tucker's he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. My one problem is Mike Budenholzer didn't look like he learned too much.
Because he wouldn't play Bobby Moore at the end of this playoffs.
So I can't tell you.
Eating.
Yeah, because DiVincenzo comes back, so I don't know how they're gonna. So I would say probably not.
Yeah,
but if Bobby isn't like their sixth man, he's not good enough to be like a 6-man winner. But their team 6th man,
yeah,
they'll be completely fine.
He could win 6-man just by being like really consistent. Like obviously he's not going to average 25 points a game, but he could average 14-8, 14-9, and win 6-man of the year for them. I think if they have the best record in the East.
Again, it sounds good, but I go back to Budenholzer's unwillingness to play him.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, like it disgusts me because I can't think of many players that deserve like consistent minutes more than Bobby Portis.
Yeah, Bobby was.
If he's on my roster, if he's not on my roster, he's getting 20 minutes minimum every night.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he's not playing well, because the team plays harder with him out there.
Yep, and no one plays harder than him.
Right. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if the minutes are inconsistent.
Yeah.
But this is another team that's just so good top to bottom. They could overcome little issues like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I think Giannis is gonna just destroy the league again.
Yeah, I think he is. Individually, I definitely think he is. They're gonna be he's still gonna be a menace. He's still going to be probably the most athletic player in the gym at all times.
Yeah.
And now he's hitting the short jumper.
Yeah. And I hope he gets away from he finally got away from the dribble pull-ups in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, if the ball's moving, you get an open shot, go ahead. But I don't need you to pull up because they're sagging.
Well, I mean, that helped at times, though, because once he hit a couple and they stopped sagging, then he just blew past them. And it was,
I don't really remember him hitting a couple. Maybe a couple of the conference final games.
Yeah, maybe
against
not the
Atlanta,
finals, but the conference finals for sure he did. Yeah.
It's just to me, but to me, him putting pressure just all night is what killed the Suns.
Right. Yeah, it is.
So I think that's the blueprint right there.
Because when he played the Suns, he still mixed it up. Like he would shoot those to keep them honest. He'd come up for the highest screen and they'd give it to him. And, they were kind of following who he was screening. And he got it kind of like a pick and pop without him actually moving. Just caught it, and he knocked those down. Those are the ones he needs for sure, because it's really like a big man's three. Those are the ones where the big man really, he could hit a three here and there, so he just takes those. So,
but it was always after a concerted effort to get him in the paint.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I didn't like in years past is, oh, they build a wall, so I got to take shots. You don't.
Right.
And I think they learned that through the playoff run last year.
Yeah. He definitely stayed in rhythm for his shots, because sometimes he'd be wide open. He'd look at it, hand it off, go down low, say, all right, Yeah. So, all right. Who else? Where you want to go in the West? Let's go back to the West.
We could talk Phoenix, their finals matchup.
Okay.
What do you think about Phoenix, man? You think they'll I mean, I can tell you right now, I don't think they're going to be back in the finals.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think they'll be a top Western team.
I think they'll be in the Western Conference Finals. I do, but not the finals. No, I think Western Conference Finals is believable for them. They got Landry Shamet, right?
I think so.
For Carter and somebody else, I think, from Brooklyn. I mean, he's not that big of a pickup, but I was just trying to remember who else they picked up new. They got him. I think they have a really good chance, because I think they're on a high. I don't think they've lost anything, and I think they've found. I think the playoffs kind of showed them their game big time, because even going into the playoffs, they had a good season, but even towards the end, last 15 games or so, I still thought they were kind of struggling to know who they were as a team.
Yeah.
I think Booker was still kind of shooting ill-advised shots at times. I think CP was kind of struggling whether to be aggressive or not. And Ayton they weren't like really sure how to use Ayton, at least going in. Then when the playoffs started, I was like, wow, they found something. Ayton is more athletic than every other center they played. He runs the floor. He gets higher than everybody. That was great. CP can hit open shots. He can get inside. He gets that little paint fade away. He likes that. And then Booker was finding a way to score and find open people. I think they have a really, really good shot of being top 3 seed again. I do. Because I don't think they lost anything. And I think all they did was gain confidence.
Yeah, I think regular season, I mean, the only regular season issue I guess I have with them is maybe their front court depth. Because that's obviously what killed them against Milwaukee. Like if your backup center gets hurt and you look like you don't have enough bigs, that's a problem. And they didn't really address that.
Who was their backup center?
I mean, they tried Kaminsky after Sarge. Remember, Sarge got hurt the first minute.
But it was Kaminsky. Kaminsky was their backup center.
Yeah, but you remember what they did? They didn't even let Kaminsky play until the series was almost out of reach for real, because they were trying to go small.
Yeah,
Monty Williams kept trying to finesse the lineups.
He did, yeah, and that was their biggest failure.
Regular season, against the Bucks, it was a failure, but
yeah,
in the regular season, I think that's a recipe for success.
It is.
So, again, their issues to me are playoff concerns. And a lot of that is, I only saw CP and Booker play well at the same time against bad defensive teams. Denver, who couldn't really defend.
Yeah.
But besides that, in a lot of the meaningful games I saw them, it was kind of one or the other a lot of the time.
Yeah.
For me, that's kind of what I'm going to be looking at during the regular season is, can they continue to build the chemistry?
I think going through what they did in the finals, I think that was a huge chemistry boost for Booker and CP. And I think the fact that CP decided to stay there just said a lot. because he could have went to the Lakers and would have been a different story, easy. But
I just wonder if it's still like 50-50, or does Booker continue to emerge and CP kind of takes a slight step back?
What do you think it should be?
For the playoffs, I think they'll need Booker to emerge more consistently.
Okay.
Like those couple of games he had against the Bucks, they need that aggression from him more consistently. Because he's not that good when he's not involved in the offense.
He's less than not that good. He's just not.
He just sucks. Yeah, he's not even out there. If he's not involved, you don't even notice him, honestly.
Right. He's one of those guys that he really shouldn't get the ball unless he's going to score. Yeah. Like not taking a shot, but attempting to score. That's really all he should do. Because a few times they gave it to him for him to make the extra pass. It was a turnover. It was a bad pass. He lost the ball. It was always something, something wrong.
He's a little messy. That's an individual concern for him, is to get more consistent with protecting the ball.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm okay with you missing an extra 5 shots if it means you didn't have those ugly turnovers that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So again, all these concerns are going to be more apparent when we get to the playoffs. But I just don't think, like, if they get hit by a couple injuries, I don't think they have the depth to overcome that.
Yeah, injuries. Yeah, injuries are injuries. They're gonna hurt anybody. But they're
a little bit more at risk to me.
They are, because their depth is their problem with their depth to me is that they have to change the entire way they play with their depth.
Yeah.
Like we talked about Chicago, LA. If Westbrook gets hurt for the whole season and Rondo has to play big minutes, the team can still play how they played with Westbrook. Rondo can't run as fast as Westbrook, but everything else Westbrook did, Rondo can fill in and do the same thing. Same thing with Chicago. If Chicago, for some reason, if Ball wasn't playing point anymore, if he got hurt, or if Kobe White got hurt, the way their guards are set up, they can move somebody around. Levine can run the one more. DeRozan can run the one more. They have all these guys who could fill that role. The problem with Phoenix, if someone gets hurt or someone gets in foul trouble, Sarge comes in and he plays nothing like Ayton. He plays nothing like anyone else on the lineup, or Crowder, or any of those guys. They have to completely change how they played. Sarge was setting those high pick and rolls, really picking pops. He was only posting like mismatches up. And then they had to work really hard to find him in mismatch. The inside was clogged when he wasn't out spotting up. And then when he was spotting up, nobody was getting rebounds.
Yeah.
Then we got Payne. If CP some reason got hurt, Cameron Payne cannot distribute the ball. Like
that's
CP.
What I was going to, is the other like play style difference.
Right. Landry Shamet cannot score off the dribble. So we have all this other stuff that happens when they get hurt, when they have any injuries compared to some of the other good teams. So that, injuries are definitely a big problem for them. But, God forbid they have any injuries. So.
But it's like if they really get hit with the injury bug, I think they have enough depth to overcome like a player getting hurt.
Yeah, like for a long time.
Yeah, but if multiple
it
guys
for
miss
one
a
game,
couple weeks,
in a playoff series, if they miss somebody for 2 games, they'd be in big trouble. I think with how the team is constructed right now.
Yeah,
but if it was someone for a long time and they had time to completely adjust to not having him for a while, I think they would. I think that would be better than being surprised with the injury from somebody. Because even just like foul trouble, or when CP got hurt in the playoffs, it was a disaster.
Yeah,
and Cameron Payne's not getting 30 all the time in the playoffs again.
That's another guy. Like I mentioned, Reggie Jackson being able to continue his hot stretch.
Yeah,
which I don't think he can. Campaign's another guy. I just don't see how great he played in certain moments.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see that happening too often.
Reggie is a little bit different to me because Reggie's, he's been a starter. He's been in the finals. He's
done what he did last year before.
Right.
Campaign, that was a league proving moment.
Yeah, and he's had good games. He was on the Thunder as well, but it wasn't like, I
don't remember him having good games on the Thunder, to be honest.
He had a couple. He had a couple of good ones.
It's not enough when you're there. What was he there for, like 3 years?
Something like that, yeah.
I need a little more. I need more than a couple.
Then where was he? Chicago for a year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even remember him playing in Chicago because I think it was hurt.
He played just for a second, yeah. Just a few games. He was hurt, then he got cut, I think, or something like that.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, because that was a big deal. Mm-hmm. He was all upset and stuff. Okay. Give me another team that you... Let's talk about the Heat. I think the Heat arguably have... I think the Heat may have the best depth in the East, given Brooklyn's situation right now. But if Brooklyn's situation was resolved, they'd have the best depth. But I think right now the Heat have the best depth in the East.
Yeah, they even took a piece of depth from the one team I think that could compete with them, Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Again, Philly's if Simmons was fine and nothing was going on with that, then we could talk about Philly, but we don't know what they're going to look like roster wise.
Right. We don't
Miami's locked in.
Either. Yeah.
Miami's locked in. And the only question we have is Oladipo ready to go or not?
And if he is, or if he isn't,
oh my God.
Crazy.
Yeah, they're crazy without him.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
if he's back and he's 100%, which I know I'm reaching.
Yeah. He's not going to be, the old Oladipo either way.
No. But, and that's fine. But if he's 100%, if he could fly on both ends.
Yeah.
If he can still come at you full speed and pull up.
Yeah.
Oh, if I get to see a month of healthy Oladipo, I'm picking Miami to win the Eastern Conference.
They're gonna be crazy.
And a lot of that is, I love their play style. I'm always high on how they play.
Yeah.
And I know who's gonna let me down and make me wrong, but
who's that?
I like how they overcame the one concern I have with them.
Who's gonna let you down?
Who do you think? Who do you think? You know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is my thing. We watched them get destroyed, but I don't think they got exposed.
No, there was nothing new.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Adebayo's struggles are fixed with Lowry's arrival.
Okay. I'm not mad at that take.
I think the shot distribution, the more consistent, like we're the hardest playing team in the league status that they had for a long time, which kind of slipped last year.
Yeah.
Lowry revives that.
Yeah.
I mean, again, Lowry is, I wouldn't be mad at anybody for saying that he was the best offseason acquisition.
Yeah.
He's just that easy. He's that easy of a fit. Yeah. He's capable of being your best player. He's capable of dominating on both ends. He makes all the hustle plays. He's a top tier leader.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about his arrival.
Yeah. He's a Hall of Famer. Anytime you get an instant Hall of Famer, I mean, he's that
and
guy.
Again, his leadership on the court is brought every night.
Yeah, it is.
Because there's a certain guy who's been leading that team that doesn't bring it on the court every night.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if there's some games where he just doesn't even shoot in the fourth quarter, and they still win.
Oh yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, who's gonna let me down is the guy whose name I didn't want to mention, Jimmy Butler.
Big face coffee.
In the regular season, at this point, I think they'll be fine without him.
$20 a cup.
That's a less LeVar Ball prices right there for coffee. But
yeah,
in the
right,
playoffs, I need Jimmy Butler there.
Yeah.
That's my problem, and why I was so mad about them getting killed against Milwaukee is they only showed up to the first game.
Yeah.
And specifically Jimmy Butler. Yeah. I mean, the other guys come along as the leaders bring them along.
And he took 2 quarters off in that game.
I need Jimmy Butler there, engaged, aggressive. Yeah. I don't care that Lowry's playing well. I still need Jimmy Butler aggressive when we're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's my only concern. But again, this team could easily be the number 1 seed when the regular season ends.
This team could have the best record in the league.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Again, there's so much depth. Guys can miss time. They could overcome injuries. They don't need Oladipo to be 100%.
No, they don't.
So this team is built flawlessly.
Tyler Hero said he belongs in the same category as John Morant, Trae Young, and Luka.
Okay. The Miami sun is a little too bright.
Yeah.
The names he had the nerve to put himself in.
They all start on their teams, first of all.
Yeah, that's the obvious difference.
They all got max contracts.
Luka's practically the face of the league.
Yeah.
You can't get in the starting lineup and you're comparing yourself to a guy who within 2 years was practically the face of the league.
Yeah.
Dude, stop, please.
And another guy who took a young team that had missed the playoffs for a while to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And Morant's so explosive. Like, dude, obviously you don't belong in the same conversation. And my problem is, dude, if I just went off, if I had a top tier year, if I was like, most improved candidate or a 6-man candidate, go ahead and I'll talk my shit too.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you declined from the bubble to last year.
Yeah.
It looked like you got worse. They tried to play you as a point guard and quit less than a month into the season.
Yep.
So
stop starting him and everything.
So this, like, you don't put yourself in top tier name categories when you just had a down year.
Yeah.
That's my problem. I don't go 2 for 15 and blame other and talk about how great I am.
Right.
So that was crazy.
So I think they have the best starting 5 in the league if they're all healthy. I don't know 100%. How well it plays together without seeing it at all, but Lowry, Oladipo, Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, and Bam is the best starting 5 in the NBA, in my opinion.
And the cherry on top, similar to Chicago being Billy Donovan, I trust Eric Spoelstra.
Yeah.
Eric Spoelstra creates that play style where it's like they're playing through one guy while everybody could simultaneously eat.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'll be fine.
And they picked up Markieff Morris, right?
Yeah, and Tucker, obviously.
Yeah, and and you still have Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero off the bench.
The depth is ridiculous.
Yeah. Those 3 off the bench, all 3 of those guys could start on a lot of teams in the league.
I don't think anybody has a better top 10 than like players on the team than Miami.
Again, it depends on what Brooklyn's situation is, but yeah, I agree. Right now, I agree.
But like Brooklyn, we know they're going to struggle defensively.
Yeah.
And we could segue into Brooklyn, but like Miami, I think I'm more concerned with how they distribute the ball.
Right. Their offense is definitely more of the concern than the defense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's get into Brooklyn. Another Tough off season.
They signed Millsap. They signed Patty Mills. They traded Landry
Aldridge
Shamet
came out of retirement.
Yeah, they got LaMarcus Aldridge out of retirement. Not that Javon Carter, he may not even play, but they picked him up for Landry Shamet.
I think losing again, it's not a big deal, but I liked how what's the little guard, man?
Who?
Mike.
Oh,
is it
Mike James or Chioza?
Mike James?
They lost both of them.
Chioza didn't really play, but Mike James I thought was a good backup for them.
Where did he go? Did he just?
I think he went overseas.
Oh, he went back overseas. Okay.
Yeah.
Chris Chioza had some good games for them. I mean, like before the big three started really, playing a lot.
Right.
But he was doing well for them like a year or two ago. But I think he's on the Warriors. Who
does Patty start at point guard?
No, Harden starts at point guard right now, I think.
Okay.
That's what I would say. Because you got Blake. But you don't.
You got a lot of forwards that could be plugged in.
Yeah, they don't have a center, do they?
No, I mean the young guy.
Oh yeah.
Claxton,
yeah.
I like him, but
I'd start him for the regular season.
I would too. I wouldn't be mad if he started in the playoffs after starting for 80 games.
Yeah. So you got Harden, you got Harris, you got Durant, you got Blake, and you got Claxton. You could go Millsap and Blake. You could go Aldridge and Blake and Millsap, and like you said, you could plug any of those guys in. I mean, I think Patty stays on the bench. I think he's just too small to guard.
Yes.
Every night.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though he plays good really pesky, good defense, he just can't do it 40 minutes. It's just
his size. Similar to like Kemba's a guy who does the same thing. He's there, he's in position, just not big enough a lot of times.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's still really good, man. Huh?
Yeah, no question. No question they're going to be one of the better Eastern Conference teams.
Yeah. Obviously the age is a concern, right? Millsap, Aldridge, and Blake's body is old. He's not old, but his body is old. Patty's getting old. So basically all their pickups, all of them could be done in the middle of the season. And
see, this is my problem. I think I talked to you about this. I loved their like Harden, KD, or KD, whoever at guard with Blake and Jeff Green.
Mm-hmm.
I thought their offense was unstoppable when their two bigs were Blake and Jeff Green.
And they lost Jeff Green, didn't they?
Wow, did they really?
Hold on, let me check.
I'm not sure where he went, but if they lost him, then it's even more of a concern that like our offense is so good, our role player gets that corner shot because we moved the ball really well.
Yeah, I don't want that to Denver for Millsap, maybe. I don't know if it was a trade or not.
I liked Blake when the offense looked great, and it often does.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Blake gets a great shot or Jeff Green gets a great shot.
Yeah.
I like that a lot more than Paul Millsap getting a great shot. Because I've seen Paul Millsap
what is a great shot
countless.
Millsap?
I don't know. That's the thing.
Right.
Like, again, those guys, Blake and Jeff, could easily settle into being spot-up guys, cutters, like just defenders. Millsap is often like he's uncomfortable with the team on offense.
Yeah.
And that to me is like a downgrade because he's going to play a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not, I just can't see him being a good fit into the offense.
Right.
So that's my only concern with them. I think offensively they got slightly worse with their like overall roster.
Okay.
But again, their only real concern during the year is how many games is Harden or KD going to miss?
Right.
And is it going to be one at a time? Is it going to be both of them? Is it only going to be one guy while the other one survives the whole year?
Well, tell me why you think they got slightly worse.
Again, I just think their rotation, like I used to watch the Nets and all their 5-man lineups look like seamless fits together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that with LaMarcus Aldridge and Millsap.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah,
you see what I mean? And
taking Jeff Green and
Shamet is another guy. Shamet, even when he sucks, he's a seamless fit.
Yeah, because he doesn't hurt you,
right?
Really.
Like Patty, I think is fine. Yeah, Patty, I think is fine.
Yeah,
but the front court, like how much are you going to depend on Claxton to get blocks and stops? So, like you said, Blake is getting up there in age. LaMarcus is practically ancient. And this team was awful defensively. Imagine being an awful defensive team and adding LaMarcus Aldridge.
Right.
I mean, the slowest guy in the league, practically.
Did LaMarcus Aldridge graduate from Texas before Durant got there?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I'm with you. They're definitely a lot slower. That's for sure. They did keep Bruce Brown, who's a good defender.
Yes.
But
keeping Bruce and Blake was huge.
Yeah, I agree. Losing Jeff Green after what he did in the playoffs for them, that's just a travesty, honestly.
But it's also smart because we know how Jeff Green goes. After a good year, he won't even be. Yeah. He'll be out of Denver's rotation in the first month, I'm sure.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah.
He's a one great year, one disgusting year. I mean, Utah said, go away. You don't even, you're not even playing here.
Right.
The year before that, he cooked for the Wizards.
Yeah. And he took a year from cooking for Boston before that, right?
Yeah.
He was cooking for Boston for a little bit when it was just him and Rondo, I think it was.
He's such a weird, unpredictable player.
Yeah, yes. This team, I don't have too much opinion about them because it's just Harden for me is just such a wild card because Harden could have an MVP caliber year. He could be a scoring machine. And I don't know what that does for the team, good or bad at times, I know that Durant being the go-to guy and the only go-to guy looks pretty good to me in the playoffs. But I know that, they're going to want to be more competitive than that with Harden back and healthy. So
I'm worried that even with a healthy Harden, they might have to depend on like what KD did in game 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, it's not that he can't do that, but that was just so spectacular. I don't know if he could do that routinely.
Right.
Especially all around like that.
Right. Yeah. KD, I've said this before. I think KD is the best open shot maker I've ever seen. But if he's not getting open shots, I don't want KD having, like you said, to go out and try to win every game. I don't want to see that. Yes.
And it killed as the Milwaukee series progressed beyond their issues stopping Giannis and like Middleton.
Yeah.
Every time Durant had to go into like his individual battles with Tucker.
Yeah.
The offensive rhythm like died.
Yep.
And didn't just die. It was like brutally murdered.
Yeah. And Harden does the same thing.
Harden's also like prone to doing that, especially when he's playing well or shooting well specifically. But
yeah,
I did like a lot of how Harden played during the regular season last year.
Yeah.
So again, I think they'll be fine. It's just about the fit in the playoffs and kind of what they gravitate towards.
I think that this team can be beaten like by anybody that we've talked about today.
So far, absolutely.
I think the Bulls could sweep them, or at least in 5. and I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I'm not saying they would. I think Brooklyn would still beat them, but I wouldn't be shocked if Chicago came out and punched them in the mouth and scored some crazy numbers the first 3 games.
Yeah. Brooklyn could beat anybody, but they're the 4th ranked team that we've talked about so far, just in the East. Maybe 5th if Chicago lives up to the hype.
Right. Yeah. And depend on how Philly comes out. Yeah. So for those listening closely, I think you probably heard us not mention one of the players that is on the Brooklyn Nets roster. That is because, as everyone probably already knows, he, as of right now, is foregoing half of the season, and the team is going ahead and foregoing all of the season for him until he's ready to be a full-time player, and that seems to rely on him getting vaccinated. So not going to take it any much further than that. I'm sure everyone who enjoys basketball already knows that. So
I'm just happy I told you this. Brooklyn took a decisive stance.
Yes, me too.
They didn't play around with it for like the first 2 weeks of the season or whatever. We're going forward. You figure it out. We're going forward.
Yes. I like that. And I hope Kyrie didn't take offense to that. I mean, he shouldn't, because
if he's a respectful adult, I would hope he didn't.
Right. Yeah. I think that's the best thing really he could have asked for, because they could trade him, they could cut him, they could buy him out. They could just say, oh, we're just not going to pay you for half the season, or we're not going to pay you for all of the season. But they said, he's just not going to play at all. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. When he's ready, but we got to go play basketball. We can't play around with the media. We can't play around with Kyrie. He can call us when he's ready. Then that's what I like. Yeah. That's what I like. Okay. What teams have we not talked about?
Yeah, I think we covered all the clear-cut contenders. I mean, Clippers weren't really in that. Right. In Chicago, we don't know, but I'm trying to think if we're missing any other clear contenders.
I think Atlanta's a clear contender.
Yeah.
And they haven't made much different, haven't made much big changes to their roster. They signed Gorgie Jang, which is solid pickup, knowing that they're the young backup center from last year is out for the season. So Gorgie Jang is a solid backup big man. I believe.
Hopefully that guy, I like that guy, man. Hopefully he could get back towards the end of the season.
Yeah, Ogonku. Yeah. He looked great in the playoffs. He's strong. He crazy hops. He hits his free throws. I mean, he seemed like a good kid too. So, yeah, I hope he comes back soon. I don't know if Hunter is back. I haven't seen.
I don't know even what his injury was that he was missing all that time for. But
me either. Let's see.
Let me ask you this. Where do you rank them, whether they have Hunter or Reddish, because we saw guys in and out of the lineup last year.
Yeah.
The concerns we've talked about with every team and how they could or can't overcome injuries. Atlanta did that last year.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
So where do you rank them among the teams that we've talked about in the East specifically?
I rank them 4th. I put them behind Brooklyn, but above Philly. So I'd say Milwaukee, Miami.
Give me your top 4. Yeah, you
Brooklyn,
said Milwaukee,
Miami, Brooklyn, and Atlanta, and then I'd say Philly. And the thing is, my biggest issue with them was their guards playing too much time, right? Their depth at guard. Bogdanovich was shooting way too much and a lot of ill-advised shots. And Reddish was out for most of the season last year. Now Hunter it says Hunter is no longer on injury report, so it looks like he's back. He's healthy. I haven't seen him play yet, but this article says that he is healthy team-wise.
Yeah.
So they have Hunter back. I think Gorgie Jang was a good pickup. I just mentioned that. Who did they get for backup point guard? Didn't they get somebody new? I
think they did, but I can't think of it at the moment.
Because they traded Chris Dunn. I don't know if they still have Lou or not. But what Cam Reddish showed me in the playoffs was exactly what they were missing to me. Like with Bogdanovich playing as much as he was playing, as soon as Cam Reddish came back, first thing he was doing was getting stops, one-on-one stops. He was stripping Chris Middleton. He was blocking shots. He was hustling for loose balls off of an injury. He was hitting threes. He looked more aggressive than he did his entire rookie season in just, a few minutes in garbage time of the playoffs. DeAndre Hunter's a defensive stopper. They needed him in the playoffs. I think that I don't think they have a lot of flaws, really. Now that they're full strength, obviously not having Okonkwo, but having a full roster, 2 guys at every position. Gallinari looks great in the playoffs. I don't see a lot of flaws in them. And I think that they really know their game. John Collins already posterizing people. He's inside, outside. All of their players are inside, outside. All of their players are defending. I think they look really good, man.
They're really flawless, man. I think like I kept telling you during the playoffs last year is the Bogdanovich shooting selection issues are fixed with Reddish being fully healthy and Hunter being fully healthy.
Yep.
Because I don't remember him being a starter when Hunter was playing.
Bogdanovich?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't remember either.
And we'll see because I don't know how Atlanta took away Bogdanovich's performance.
Hopefully they have more televised games, by the way, because we really didn't see him play that much before the playoffs. Yeah.
And Hunter, like people forget, Hunter's perimeter game was a lot better than I even thought it would be coming into the league.
Yeah.
He was very capable. Like he would put it on the floor. He would jab and shoot it if you kind of gave him space. So again, I think Hunter fixes a lot of the shot selection issues.
Yeah.
One thing I do think they'll be missing is Gallinari will not repeat what he did in the playoffs.
No, he won't.
He
won't be all that again. No.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Gallinari played all year, considering his injury history.
Yeah, and his age. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But this team is essentially flawless.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose the backup center, you pick up a guy to fill that void.
A very good backup center.
Right.
I think Gorgie Jang's an underrated backup center.
I don't even know if I could name you a front court with better chemistry than Capella and Collins.
No.
They might not be the most productive scoring wise, but they know their game.
Yep. On both ends.
Their game. They have top tier chemistry with their point guard.
Yeah.
Which is all I want out of my bigs.
Yep.
So they have so much wing talent with all these guys coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, this team's success really depends on Trae Young just staying healthy.
Oh, I forgot about Huerter coming back. Oh, yeah. DeLon Wright, they got a
great backup.
Yeah. Yeah. And
this team is flawless.
They signed Lawawu Cabarro, who was coming on for the Nets, and they just benched him for no reason.
Said, nah, you're good.
Yeah.
I swear Durant must have not liked him or something.
Because he was on fire for like a good 10 games.
And then just out of the rotation.
Yeah, gone.
No, but I think there's 3 Eastern teams that I have no questions about their play style and their roster. And that's Milwaukee, Miami, Atlanta.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it. And to me, they're the top tier of the Eastern Conference coming into the season.
Yep. And did you mention Sharif Cooper?
No, I did not.
Absolutely eating in the preseason. I mean he's a rookie, but he's a solid looking rookie. And they got Jalen Johnson from Duke, who looked like a pretty good rookie too. He kind of fits into the same DeAndre Hunter kind of mold, long, strong, Yeah, man.
And this team again, we go back to coaching a lot of the time. This team only became a contender when they hired Nate McMillan.
Yeah.
So now he coming off of a half year. Now he gets a full season to get more familiar with a lot of the guys that were missing time.
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if this team, like we said with Milwaukee and Miami, this team could easily win 60 games.
Oh, yeah. They could.
So Eastern Conference is no joke this year.
I'm not sure if everyone's shooting their best. No one in the East can outshoot this team. I don't think.
No.
Including Brooklyn. I mean, with Trey, Cam, Huerter, Gallinari, Bogdanovich, and sometimes Collins is knocking it down. It's tough, man.
Yeah.
Really, really, really tough. Opening night versus Dallas. Good game. It's going to be a good game.
So we've covered, I would say, the top tier is those three teams. I would say Philly and Brooklyn are this next tier because they're close, but we have some concerns, whether it's off-season shit or just depth stuff.
Yep.
Let's go to the next or Chicago, I would say, is in that tier as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. You want to go through the tiers in the West?
Now let's close out the East a little bit. So we got, I'm just going to list the teams I think will potentially be playoff teams.
Okay.
New York, the Knicks.
Yeah.
The Charlotte.
Yeah.
The Wizards.
Okay.
And Boston.
I was about to say, you really about to shade Boston like that?
No way.
Yeah.
I picked them to come out the East last year, so I like Boston.
Yeah, let's talk about Boston real quick. They picked up Schroeder. They lost Kemba. Picked up Schroeder. They picked up Horford again. And who's the wing they got?
From Dallas, Richardson, Josh
Richardson. Yes.
I think they addressed those pickups addressed every rotation and depth issue they had.
I completely agree. And they got Cancer back, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the other issue they had. So
yeah, now man. Last year, it's hard to kind of go back to last year with them because they were unhealthy practically all year. They're guys, every time somebody got healthy, somebody else would get hurt.
Yep.
So this team is of the four teams I mentioned, they're the most capable of getting to that to second tier.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. Their season is going to come down to the emergence of Tatum and Brown.
Yeah, and they got some more. They got some depth that I mean, I don't know. You're gonna laugh at the depth, but they got Arcidiacono. I didn't know they picked him up. They got Hernan Gomez, the one that was in Minnesota. They got Garrison Matthews from where was DC. Garrison Matthews?
DC.
He was in DC, yeah.
Chucking for us. I remember.
And then they got Jabari Parker last year. And they still have Pritchard. Neesmith has been playing well in the preseason. Just wanted to shout those guys out. Not that
Pritchard was dominant in the summer league.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
and he's a good player, man. I like him a lot, but I don't give a fuck about any of the other names you said. I know you didn't say Arcidiacono. Like, yo, we got guard depth now because Arcidiacono's. Come on, you could have left those names alone. I didn't even need to know they were there.
Oh man,
stop you when you went. Oh my god, those three straight, you had me weak for a second.
No, they're NBA players, man. They're not complete trash. They can last on the court. Again, I don't think they're going to get a lot of minutes, but
Boston clearly learned from their problems last year.
They did.
As far as like off-season adjustments and changes, there's a team in the West I wish would do that, that we'll get to. But Boston is a team who, again, their success comes down to how great and how consistent Tatum and Brown could be.
Right.
And now that they eliminated Kemba, and eliminate is a bad, traded and got a guard who's more of a role player.
Yep.
I think now we're locked into those two guys, which I actually really like. Because for years, the problem was the distribution between their top tier players.
Right.
So now it's two clear-cut top guys. And Tatum showed me, again, it wasn't consistent, but Tatum showed me flashes of being potentially the best wing in the league. At least scoring-wise.
Yeah.
And if he could build on that, if he could continue to be more consistent, I think this team is easily in that second tier.
Yeah, I agree. And I was joking about the depth, but with Josh Richardson, even the guys I named, they now have all players that are capable to be on the court. And that was the big problem we had with their depth in the past 4 years or so since Kyrie left there. I think they've always had, okay, we got two guys that have ever like been on the court for 20 minutes before. And then everyone else is like either young, they can't guard anybody, they've never played in a full NBA game before.
And a couple of those guys have now gotten the experience to be considered like guys who've played.
Yep. You got Pritchard, you got
Robert Williams,
you got Grant Williams, you got
I'm good on Grant Williams.
Aaron Nesmith. But I'm just saying they have some NBA experience, right? You got, like I said, Jabari Parker has a lot of NBA experience. You got Arcidiacono, who's had NBA experience.
All those guys you named have gotten significant minutes in their past situations.
Exactly. And that's one thing they really, really lacked before.
Yes.
Because it's like, yo, man, Romeo Langford is your seventh guy off the bench. Like, we can't do that. And not that Romeo Langford is trash, but for what this team was trying to do, it's not it. But now you got Josh Richardson as your seventh off the bench. You got who did you say earlier? Robert Williams is your eighth off the bench. And then even if you have to go to Arcidiacono, he's your ninth, 10th off the bench. That's a good bench. I mean, that's one thing we've never said about them.
Yes. And now they're 6 through 9. I'm okay with plugging them in as a starter for a week or two.
Yeah.
Or even a month, worst case scenario.
What, Smart, Josh Richardson, Cantor,
Robert Williams, Pritchard, whichever. So really they're
Jabari Parker. I mean, you got
Again, so it's even more than 9. They have a full rotation now
they do.
I'm not questioning any of the guys that are supposed to be in their rotation, finally.
Yep.
So to me, and we've differed on this for a long time about, not a long time, but a while now. If this team doesn't overachieve, Brad Stevens got to go.
He's gone.
I mean, I'm tripping.
Yeah. No. I was gonna say earlier, you were saying we were unsure about them. Now we haven't. Oh no, when you were saying it's hard to judge them because they made so many changes. Now it's hard to judge them.
That's right.
Because they have Udoka now. Yeah,
that's a wild card. I don't know what that's gonna look like.
Why is Dennis Schroeder's number 71?
It's an ugly number.
But yeah, they got Udoka now. He's a Popovich disciple.
But they put him in a position to be successful.
They did, yeah.
Again, you don't have to play guys who barely played.
Right.
So Oh, I think they'll be good, man. I could easily see this team having home court in the first round.
Oh yeah, I could too. Yeah. I think that like you said, it's gonna be tough seeing how well Tatum does. I don't expect Tatum to have, average 28, 27 points a game. I don't expect him to do that. And if he has to do that, then the team is in its own, it's having its own issues to me. But with Jaylen Brown healthy, I think they're definitely on the top side of the East. I do.
Yeah, and they lost him going into the playoffs last year. I think they would have challenged Brooklyn significantly more if Brown was there.
For sure. Yeah, that was the biggest issue because then you had to have Kemba and Smart guarding bigger guys. It was just bad. I think they would have challenged.
Had to be incredible by himself that one game.
Yeah, and I think just having Horford and Cancer changes the team so much. I mean, who did they go? They had Robert Williams starting and Tristan Thompson sometimes.
Yeah.
And then they had Tatum playing the 4 sometimes. They were just getting really crazy with the lineups. And now it's just like we have centers now, like actual centers. So, yeah. I'm excited, man. I'm excited for them. At all the teams we named, I'm most excited for Atlanta. Then I'm second most excited for Boston. I just want to see what happens. I had the issue with Brad Stevens last year. They got Udoka. I want to see what he does. They got shooters too coming off the bench. Guys who just can come in and just shoot. That's nice too. So Smart doesn't need to take 6 threes a game. I'm excited for him.
Yeah. So what about the other 3 teams? I want you to rank them for me. So Charlotte, Wizards, Knicks.
Wizards, Knicks, then Charlotte.
That's your ranking?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what, man? I'm going to sound like a hater. I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks missed the playoffs this year. Not at all.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I wouldn't be both Wizards and Knicks. I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of those teams missed the playoffs. Like all together. Because we've 100%. Named 6 teams, right? That we think will make it. 7?
7 including Boston.
Yeah, so.
No, wait. 8 including Boston. I keep forgetting about Chicago. I don't know why.
Yeah, so somebody's the odd man out. So
I want to wait with the Wizards. I don't want to deep dive them. I need to see them.
We didn't mention that Brooklyn lost Dinwiddie. Not that even though he didn't play last year, but he was someone that we were looking forward to joining that team.
I think it would have been huge if he came back to the situation they're in now, considering they're missing Kyrie.
Yeah, but they didn't know.
Right. Yeah. With the Wizards, so many new pickups. I do like how they kind of improved over the course of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But, and again, they got guys who've all have played significant minutes.
Yeah.
And that was
the championship team.
Right. And the big issue for them was their depth because they got hit by the injury bug pretty bad early last year.
Yep.
And Hachimura really hasn't been healthy for an extended period of time so far in his career.
Right.
So besides losing Robin Lopez, I think this team has no rotation issues.
Okay.
Because I don't know if Bryant is healthy yet.
Right.
But again, there's such a wild card because now all those guys are thrust into more prominent roles.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very curious how they can make that work.
Give me your starting 5 for them.
Dinwiddie at the 1, Beal at the 2,
mm-hmm.
Kuzma at the 3,
mm-hmm.
Hachimura at the 4, and I guess Bryant at the 5. Which
you still have Gafford,
Gafford is an easy plug-in for that if Bryant isn't healthy. I would probably start. To be honest, I think I would start Gafford even if Bryant is healthy.
That's what I was thinking. I think I would start Gafford. Montrezl comes off the bench.
100%. Can't get stops. You don't belong in the starting lineup.
Did you say Bertans starting? No, right?
No. Can't get stops. You not in the starting lineup.
And you said KCP at the 2?
I mean, at the 3? About KCP. No. Oh. They might start KCP and put like Beal at the 3 or
Kuzma at the 4.
Yeah, I don't know. They got options.
The point, I was gonna say the point is you guys have options finally.
Thank God.
Aaron Holiday was a solid backup point guard pickup. At least Raul Neto doesn't have to be out there so long.
I never want to see a 3-point guard lineup ever in my fucking life in a Wizards uniform and on a Wizards court.
You guys don't even have 3-point guards on the roster anymore.
Thank God.
Yeah, I mean, Dinwiddie, Neto, and Holiday. There's no way they do that. That's crazy. You guys got Corey Kispert too. I don't know if you guys use him. He's kind of a shooter, right? From Gonzaga.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like him the little bit I saw, but he could be a guy. I see that his skill set could easily like translate better into the league.
Yeah, McDermott style maybe.
Kind of, yeah.
He's not quite as big, but yeah. And Denny Avdija. See how you use him finally.
Yeah, I don't know if he's healed the ankle, but I think so.
He got hurt like 4 times last year.
That's because he had to be like a premier defender.
He got hurt. It seemed like every time I saw him play, he got hurt in the game. So
you're asking a rookie to get stops.
Yeah, and they had him playing every position. Like I still don't know what position he actually plays. All right, let's go to the Knicks. Why are you dogging the Knicks, man? Why won't they make the playoffs?
Kemba's injury prone.
Yep.
I think people are ready for Randall now.
Mm-hmm.
I think his matchups will attack him a little bit more every night.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this team just doesn't have the firepower to keep up with any of the teams we named. And again, we know what they are
trash,
now.
Man.
We know what they are now.
Yeah, their roster sucks.
They're a really elite defensive team who's dependent on either Randall playing really well or last year was Derrick Rose.
We got Evan Fournier. Don't disrespect.
That was a good pickup. I'm not disrespecting him.
Mitch Robinson is back. I like it. Why do we have Wayne Selden on the roster?
Again, the reason I don't think they'll suck is because I don't see their defense getting any worse.
Yeah, the defense won't get worse. You're right.
And with Thibodeau coaching, no way.
Right.
But I'll tell you what, like, to me, their offensive firepower depends on Kemba being available.
Yeah.
And I don't trust that.
Yeah.
I mean, Kemba's had a messed up knee for like half a decade.
We got Emmanuel quickly. We got Rose. Jericho Sims. Great draft pick. I hope he plays well. Obi Toppin. I don't know why we didn't make more trades. No, I'm still excited about the roster. I'm excited for Kemba to be home in New York.
It's just, to me, they have the lowest ceiling out of pretty much everybody we've talked about, and even including Charlotte, who we didn't talk about.
This is not a championship team by any means. It's not a second round team by any means. Solid first round team. Solid, but obviously I'll say competitive first round team.
Yeah, I think they'll be more competitive than last year because I think Randall will play better, at least in the playoffs.
And then having Mitchell Robinson is huge. Having him back, because there were so many times where I was like, man, if we just had another center on the roster.
Yep.
So we had Noel, and then like Randall ended up playing center sometimes. So that was a disaster. I don't know why we still have Kevin Knox. I don't know what we're doing with him.
Isn't Ntilikina, is he still there?
No. Dallas.
Thank God.
Let him go to Dallas.
That's right. I was mad because he got another chance in the league even though I don't think I've seen a guard who deserves less of another chance than him. But
right,
it's crazy.
We picked up Dwayne Bacon from Charlotte. Not a bad pickup. He does his thing sometimes.
He's a guy who I've never seen him get significant minutes.
Yeah, but like for some reason when he's out there, he's competitive.
He could be good or bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a lot of competitors, man. I like that. But that's it. I don't want to talk about them anymore. It's depressing.
Yeah. I mean, Charlotte, I don't really have any deep thoughts on Charlotte.
Losing Devontae Graham was painful. Picking up Kelly Oubre was nice. Picking up Miles Plumlee was nice. He's from North Carolina, I think. That's really it. That's all I got to say.
James I'm curious.
Nice.
Book Knight was a good pick, but I'm curious how Miles Bridges progresses and how LaMelo Ball progress.
Yeah, I'm curious how they fill the Devontae Graham's spot. Yeah. He was so important for them. I don't see like LaMelo just because they did different things. Graham was kind of a vocal leader for them. He kind of manage the tempo for them, and LaMelo is still a little shaky on that in my opinion. Terry, I think Terry Rozier is going to come out looking great. PJ Washington, I hope he had it.
Hope he's all right. Yeah. Hope he's in the right headspace, focused on the game. I got you.
Yeah. I hope he comes in focus. I mean, I said Miles Plumlee. Sorry, Mason Plumlee. I got. Yeah, that's really it. I hope Book Knight comes out aggressive. It looked like he was warming up to the NBA tempo in the preseason.
Yeah. He's another guy who I think his play style and skill set fits the league a little bit better.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But again, to me, their growth depends on LaMelo being a little bit more consistent.
Yep.
And kind of getting a little older, because I think he'll get stronger and add things to his game. So we'll see.
Yep. And Hayward's going to be back too, because Hayward missed most of the season.
Their rotation is sneaky, like good.
Yeah, because I mean, having Oubre coming off the bench.
Yeah, and Plumlee's a good big.
I assume Plumlee's going to start, but yeah, Oubre and Book Knight. I mean, those guys are nice, and they got a lot of like Wes Iwundu is a sleeper rotation guy.
Right.
I think Kai Jones is an athletic freak. He's going to do something out there. Yeah, they got the Martin twin that's still pretty good. They got Ish Smith from you guys, solid rotation guard. So yeah, I think they're going to be all right.
Yeah. Before we go to the West, quick word: Indiana, I think will suck.
Yeah.
Cleveland, I want to see Mobley, but I also think they'll suck.
I think Cleveland's going to make some trades early.
That'll be interesting. We'll definitely talk about Cleveland a lot more in depth if they do that.
Yeah, I think second month of the season somebody's gonna be gone.
Who am I missing anybody?
Toronto.
They're gonna suck.
Orlando. Gonna suck. So
they're gonna suck.
Yeah,
so there's the Eastern Conference.
Oh, Detroit sucks. So, but they got a lot of new faces.
Hopefully, I just want to catch some of the rookies. Like I even want to see the Toronto guy, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
But that's besides seeing their rookies, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, Toronto's going to be horrific, in my opinion.
I'm curious if Siakam can kind of figure out like what he's good at.
Yeah.
So maybe if he does that, they don't suck. Like I think of those teams, Indiana and Toronto are the most like competitive throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
But like Indiana was so awful defensively, I don't see that getting better.
I think Cleveland would be competitive this year. I do.
I could see it. I could see that. Yeah.
Because they got Jared Allen too now for the whole season.
Yeah,
they kind of got him late in the season.
Their roster is so like scrambled together.
Yeah, it is.
No direction to it. I really don't like that.
Yeah,
same thing with Detroit.
I'm looking at Detroit's roster and it's just so out of control. Kelly Olynyk, Rodney Magruder, Trey Lyles, Jeremy Grant, Killian Hayes, Frank Jackson, Josh Jackson, Cade Cunningham, Sadiq Bey, Hamidou Diallo, Luka Garza, Corey Joseph, Isaiah Livers. I don't know what direction they're going in.
I kind of like hearing it. I kind of like it a little more.
Why is Jared Cunningham on their roster? Is that a mistake? 2K15 dunk.
Yeah, I can't believe he's in the league. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But let's go to the West, man. We got to talk about a lot more West teams.
All right.
A lot of wild cards in the West, I would think.
Yeah. Let's go. Who are we gonna talk for a long time in the West though? I think we've got let's go to Portland, I guess. Portland didn't trade Damian Lillard, obviously.
The only productive decision they made.
It looks like they Damian and Chauncey are committed to, discovering each other.
Oh yeah, firing Terry Stotts was another one.
Right. Let's see their roster. Oh yeah, we talked about this. They made a bunch of just random pickups that, they kind of just took one of those those pointy things like the inmates go and volunteer to pick up trash with. They took one of those out to free agency and just.
I don't even want to laugh, to be honest. Nobody, a lot of the teams we've talked about, I like their offseason. Pretty much almost every team we've talked about, I like their offseason.
Yeah.
Even
every team in the East made good offseason moves.
Yeah, honestly. Even the bad teams, at least they made moves.
Yeah. I think every single East team made good moves.
Well, maybe not Indiana, but every other team did.
Yeah.
Portland sat there like they're good enough. If there was one thing that we could definitively say about Portland is they're not good enough.
It's the only thing that Damian Lillard said himself last season. You look at this, he said, no disrespect to my guys. I love my teammates, but when you look at this roster, no one says this is a championship roster. He said those words. So
one of the best leaders in the league said that.
Yeah.
And Portland, being the potentially trash organization they are, did nothing.
They signed Ben McLemore
and Cody Zeller
and Larry Nance Jr.
Whew, the depth has been figured out, folks.
And Tony's.
That's a step above the names you listed off for Boston.
And Tony Snell. Oh my god, man.
I think the names you listed off for Boston would give all those names for Portland a run for their money.
Oh yeah, Arcidiacono would be their best pickup.
But my problem, again, it comes down to Chauncey Billups here.
Yeah.
And the problem is I've never really seen him coach. So I just don't know what the play style changes will be.
Right.
But and the other problem is the core of this team has been together for such a long time. It's hard to make a play style adjustment.
Right.
They're going to be spreading it out, running pick and rolls, playing through Lillard, Again, in the regular season, they show you flashes of all the things you want out of them.
Yeah.
Except good defense.
Right.
They never show that.
Right.
And that's what kills them. That's what kills them. Even when they were potentially good enough years ago, this team gets into shootouts with everyone.
Yeah.
They're shocked all the time of why Damian Lillard has to be spectacular, it's because you don't defend.
Yeah.
None of those names make a significant upgrade for that.
Nope.
I mean, all those guys play defense, but it doesn't matter when the team isn't committed to playing team defense.
And the thing is, they play defense and then they come back on the other end and do absolutely nothing. It's, they don't play both ends. That's the problem.
Yes.
Like,
never.
Even a guy like Tony Snell, he's, really long arms. He chases guys around pretty well, like around those back screens, double screens. He does a pretty good job chasing them around. But then you come back on offense and he's disappeared on the court.
He's invisible.
4 or 5. Yeah.
I don't understand how you look at those pickups and say, like, all right, we'll be good to go. And I hope it finally reflects. This is their problem, is it doesn't reflect in the standings enough.
No, it doesn't.
I love Lillard, but I want this team to miss the fucking playoffs.
I want Lillard to demand to be traded at the trade deadline.
I'll tell you what, I think the only thing that will save me to at least having some respect for the organization is if they start struggling, they move McCollum.
Yeah.
It's time. Even if they don't get the package they necessarily want.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
We've talked about it for 2-3 years. It's time for something drastic to happen.
Bro. I won't care about that if Nurkic is still there. I really won't. Because I'm still on the side of believing that Lillard and McCollum can work. But if Nurkic is still just a D-man in the paint, a cone in the paint, it's a waste of time. Because, like, if they go and they got Beal from you guys from McCollum, it wouldn't make a difference. If they went and got Chris Middleton, it wouldn't make a difference.
Nope.
Because Nurkic is still going to be a trash can.
A complete and utter trash can.
Yeah.
And it bothers me because, like, it's not that he can't play basketball.
No, it's not.
It's the same shit with Russ. It's like, dude, why don't you think on the court ever?
Right.
You make every wrong decision and then get a highlight and think you're playing well.
And the fact that they have to dumb down their offense so much for him is just, it's really bad.
And it only looks like it's for him.
Well, yeah, because that's all they can do when he's there. So, I mean, like, when I say that, I mean, their tempo has to change when he's on the court. Tempo slows down. No one can go to the basket because he, like, posts up in the middle of the court, like right on the middle of the free throw line. He decides to post up so no one can go around him. He gets the ball, he palms it, he looks around and never actually has any intentions of passing it. Then he takes bad shots, one-footed fadeaways. It's just
disgusting.
Floaters.
He's easily the dumbest third best player on any team in the league.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Easily. And if you want to be a contender, you can't, your top 5, I can't look at one of them and say he's the dumbest player in the league.
Right.
And I confidently look at Nurkic for the last 2.5 years and say, I don't think there's a dumber center in the league.
Yeah.
And he's probably top 10 skill-wise.
Yeah, as far as like complete package.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can shoot.
Easily. He's all around. He could do it all, but
yeah,
it's like, dude, you're not Jokic. Why do you keep trying to be?
Right.
I don't understand. That makes no sense.
But the worst part is, man, he tries to be better. That's what's worse. Like, I'd rather him like completely copy Jokic's game, not go try to be I'm Jokic plus this and plus that. No, you're not.
It's disgusting. You're none of it. It makes me literally sick.
Yeah, man. So for me, that would be the one thing I'm like, all right, so now they're really trying to do something. Because I don't know any big men that are like really available right now. I'm trying to think. I guess I really can't think of any. I can't think of like a particular player that if they had him over Nurkic, they'd be making a big change. But I mean, even like if they had Dwight over Nurkic, not like a straight up trade, but for somehow they lost Nurkic and they picked up Dwight, I'd say, okay, well, look, they're looking to do something else with their offense and their defense. So,
again, we're at the point with him now where it's just addition by subtraction.
Yeah, that's
at
true.
This point, I don't care if you get somebody close to his skill or talent. I just get somebody to fill the position at this point.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind Pau Gasol coming out of retirement to just hack some guys out there.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, it's to the point where, like you said, the offense is dumbed down. Everything around their play style, all the issues of their play style ends with him.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yep.
So, like Dame and CJ could be better individual defenders, but nobody in the league could stay in front of somebody all night.
Right.
And when you're sending your matchup to the help and he gets whatever he wants, that shit is demoralizing.
Yeah.
And that's what happens routinely with them. And then Nurkic thinks he's going to control the offense too.
Yep.
So if Chauncey, the only thing that'll make me think that Chauncey could be a difference maker as far as coaching, is if Cody Zeller's minutes go up and Nurkic's minutes go down. That is,
I don't know how Cody Zeller looks out there, but I don't disagree.
I don't care if he's getting cooked.
Mm-hmm.
He knows his game. That's what I need as a big man.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point now where if something with Nurkic doesn't happen, trade, decreased minutes, whatever, I don't care. I don't care if Lillard's averaging 40.
Yeah.
I don't care if him and McCollum finally look great together.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. They'll lose to like a inconsistent Dallas team in the first round.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Donovan Mitchell averaging 40 against them.
For sure.
In a quick 5-game series.
Yeah. Easily. Yep.
So it frustrates me, man. I hate that they had the offseason they had.
Yeah, me too, man. And no draft picks. I mean, just all L's, really. Top to bottom. Okay, on a lighter note, Golden State is back. Clay is back. He looks great. He's laughing and joking. He got his afro back. What are they doing, man? They got Iggy back, Avery Bradley, Bielitsa, Chris Chiozza. They drafted Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody.
I really have one
Otto
focus.
Porter Jr. Huh?
I have one focus with them, and I like their kind of looking back. I like their draft pick more because the only thing I could really think of as like hurting this team quickly is front court health. I think Wiseman's had injury problems. You know, Draymond's getting up there in age.
Yep.
And Draymond over the last like 7-8 years, Draymond has played really heavy minutes.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's always a concern. What's his name? The big man who's like kind of uncoordinated, but Looney.
Yeah.
Looney's a guy who's had injury problems the last couple of years.
Yep.
So to me, the only thing I'm concerned about is their front court health.
Yeah.
But besides that, we talk about Boston easily leaping into the next tier and easily having home court in the first round.
Yeah.
I could see Golden State being the number 1 seed in the West.
Me too.
This team is back, like you said.
And again, this is another team that has everyone on their roster is a contributor. 100%. Everybody. Just listen to this roster. James Wiseman, Andrew Wiggins, Juan Toscano Anderson, Klay Thompson, Otto Porter Jr., Jordan Poole, Gary Payton II, Michael Mulder, Moses Moody, Kevon Looney, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, Jonathan Kuminga, Damian Lee, Steph Curry, Chris Chiozza, Avery Bradley, Bielitsa, I don't know how to say his first name, and I guess they just gave Jordan Bell a free check.
Jordan Bell's back with them?
Yeah.
Wasn't he in I swear he was bouncing around the league all offseason.
He was, yeah.
Okay. He was in Cleveland or something, or maybe Minnesota.
Cleveland. He was in Minnesota. He went to Minnesota right from them. Then he went somewhere else. I forgot. But he went to Minnesota for Wiggins, I think. When that happened. But yeah, man. I mean, everybody I named can get on the, maybe other than Bell, everybody I named can get on the court and give you good minutes. And I'm not afraid to put anybody on the court. Nobody.
Yeah. And this team, they're similar to Miami, where I really trust their play style.
Oh, yeah.
Like the reason there's a lot of teams, you said, all those names that all could be contributors.
Yeah.
Not every team in the league could do that with those names.
Right. That's true.
So I think their play style is really good. It's just about health for them.
Yeah. And really just health from the big three,
Of course.
No one else's health matters.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no disrespect to all the other guys, but nobody else's health matters. I mean, the big guys, be nice for them, but, as long as they got the Splash Brothers and Draymond, they're straight. Everybody else, you can figure it out.
I think if you were to ask me for like a surprise MVP candidate, maybe not surprise, but like a guy a lot of people wouldn't expect, Steph is an easy answer.
Oh yeah. Wouldn't expect. He's already a 2-time MVP.
Yeah, but this team's finally it's very balanced. Like there's a lot more balance on it now.
Yeah, it is.
But I could see, in spite of that balance, I could see Steph doing exactly what he did last year.
That's when he plays best. When you can't double him, You can't help. You can't help out the corner on Clay or Otto. You can't even help out the corner on Otto Porter Jr.
No.
So it's like, yeah, it's gonna be nice. And now,
go ahead.
With this team, I'm glad they kept Wiggins right now.
Yeah.
I know they were looking at some other moves, like Wiggins and Wiseman for Karl-Anthony Towns. That's fire, but I like Wiggins on this team now because Wiggins, I don't know what position or what even on the depth chart they use him at. If they bring him in as 6-man or if they started him, I don't know, but I like it so far. So yeah, I'm excited for this team. I'm excited. They're probably I'm most excited for them in the West, just because nice to see the Splash Brothers back together again.
It's just the Lakers. It's so exciting because the Lakers could be like completely awful, and they could be completely unstoppable. That's what's so exciting about the Lakers.
Right, that's true. But good thing about the Warriors, I don't think there's any scenario where they're awful.
Oh no.
So I think that's why I'm more excited. Let me ask you this. Does John Wall make any team better that we've talked about today, at least?
That we've talked about today?
Yeah. Does he tip the scale for any team? Even slightly?
Brooklyn? Slightly.
John Wall in Brooklyn? Okay.
Slightly.
Okay.
But besides that,
is that because of Kyrie or?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I don't want Harden to be the only genuine point guard option.
Yeah.
So that to me, I think helps them just having somebody else running the show a little more.
Yeah.
But besides, Lowry to Miami, that takes that spot.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Drew Holiday was exactly the pickup they needed.
You think he helps? I think we talked about it, but Off air though, do you think he helps the Clippers or no?
He doesn't make them better.
Okay.
Like, he's a good pick. It looks good.
Yeah.
But I don't think he makes a meaningful improvement for them.
Gotcha. I think he would help. I think him on Phoenix would be a sleeper.
Yeah.
I don't know if they, if they would have to give something up for him. Or if Houston just plans on buying him out. I don't even know what that process is going to be at this point. But I think he could be a solid backup for CP.
I kind of want him to give Houston another year. I know I don't think he will. I'm pretty sure he won't, but
yeah, they already talked about him, them negotiating a buyout. So, but I like how Houston's roster looks now.
Yeah,
because they had a lot of guys out.
We talked about it last year. Is the pieces? No, we talked about it like throughout the summer, considering who they drafted.
Yeah.
And just how certain guys improved over the course of last year.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be an exciting team. I don't know if they'll probably won't win a lot of games, but they're not going to be like a joke.
Right. They got Tyson. They got Christian Wood is back. He looks good so far.
Yeah, Jalen Green looks better and better every time I see him.
He's tough, man. He's really, really tough. And they got DJ Augustine. I forgot they picked him up. I mean, not that he adds too many win shares.
It's a good backup guard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eric Gordon is back healthy. They got Dante Exum somehow. Yeah, they may do some stuff. I mean, like you said, they're not going to win a lot of games. And with Wall leaving, 99% chance of him leaving. I don't know. But good start. Who else you want to talk about in the West? You want to talk about Dallas or Denver?
Let's talk about Denver because we haven't heard much about Murray's health.
Right. No, you haven't.
They haven't, I haven't seen that he's available to start the year.
Right. Michael Porter Jr. got extended. They got Jeff Green.
Yeah. That was something we didn't really talk about was Michael Porter getting the bag.
Yeah, the huge bag. Yeah.
Huge bag. I would be kind of mad if I was John Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's different situation, different team, but
yeah,
it's just interesting to me because Denver's always looked hesitant to buy in to Michael Porter on the court.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly they see the potential to give him this much money.
Yeah. But it also tells you, okay, it also gauges where they value him, even if they weren't to keep him. Obviously I think they're going to keep him, but let's say for some reason there was a major chemistry issue and they had to trade him. Now we know the price point of what they expect in return for him as well. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, they had to give it to him, though, because he could be on another team averaging 28 points a game, probably, honestly.
Yeah. He just, when Murray went down, when he played well, their offense, that was the only time their offense looked as explosive as it did with Murray.
Yep.
So to me, I hope he continues to get better, which I'm sure he will. And I hope they buy into playing through him more on the court.
Me too.
Because they still kind of just settle him into a role on any given night. And I hope they kind of give him a little more versatility, kind of let him show the flashes of when he was a guard.
Yep.
But again, I love that they committed to him because that's something I couldn't really pinpoint whether they were willing to do. And clearly this is our guy. We want him.
They signed Tariq Black. Do they have the best starting five?
He's still like a available option to sign.
Yeah.
When was the last time he was in the league? Like 4 years ago?
I think Kobe was playing when he was in the league.
Yeah.
I remember Kobe throwing him a lob.
I remember Kobe throwing him a pass that he dropped.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. He used to have some vicious dunks though, randomly.
He's got NBA athleticism for sure.
Yeah, he does. Do they have the best starting five in the West? With Murray healthy?
With Murray healthy, with Gordon there, yeah.
Murray, Barton, Porter, Gordon, and Jokic.
Yeah, I hate that they lost Gary Harris.
Me too.
Because he was such a perfect, like, everybody eats while he has to be like the defender and hustle guy.
Yeah.
While still contributing. But Barton's more of a wild card.
Yeah.
But I expect big things from Denver, man. I think they'll be in the conversation for best team in the West, just like they've been the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think so too. Just, we talked about depth, and this team's depth is just in the toilet right now. They have Austin Rivers, PJ Dozier, Jeff Green, Monty Morris, JaMychal Green. And after that, Georgie Biz. I'm not even going to say his name. I don't even know how to pronounce his name.
I don't even know who that is.
Bol, of course. Campazzo, of course. Peter Cornielli, never heard of him. Vlatko Kankar, Marcus Howard, they never gave him a shot. Bones Highland, never heard of him. And Zeke Najee.
He's nice, bro. I've seen clips of him. He could go.
Najee?
No. Bones Highland.
I haven't seen him play.
All right, we'll see if because he looked good in the summer league. He had a couple really good summer league games.
Okay.
He's like a slasher, but you're completely right that their depth. Reading that out, I'll be like, yo, that depth sucks.
Yeah, but
I give him a slight pass because a lot of those guys who on paper look like bad depth, just played well in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
one thing they're good at is. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just think it helps a lot.
One thing they're really good at is sprinkling depth in with their starters. Like, they rarely are 5 guys on the court that didn't start. Yeah. They rarely go 5 bench players on the court. They always have at least 2 starters in there. And if it's only 2, it's like, Porter Jr. and Murray, or it's Jokic and Murray, Jokic and Porter Jr. It's like 2 of the big 3. So that's one thing I think Denver's always been good at. Like, okay, if we're going to go Jeff Green and Austin Rivers, we need Jokic, we need Murray, we need Porter. If we throw Bones Highland in there, we need Jokic and Murray to stay in there. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
But my thing is, I was like surprised and impressed with a lot of their guys in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I thought Monty Morris practically outplayed CJ McCollum in that series.
Unfortunately, he did. Yeah.
Very unfortunately. But I thought Austin Rivers was a great signing midseason for them.
He was very underrated signing.
Obviously, Aaron Gordon was a perfect fit.
Yep.
And just looking at even Campazzo, who, I don't think either of us think too highly of him, just being able to plug him in when somebody misses time, and him having that experience from last year, I think he's a more capable contributor.
Yeah. Yep. So, and he's fearless. He doesn't back down. He doesn't really doesn't let people expose him, which is, he does his thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about another team that did, I shouldn't say virtually nothing, but let's talk about the Jazz, man. The Jazz signed Hassan Whiteside, Eric Pascal, and Rudy Gay. And then they drafted Jared Butler. Nice draft pick.
The problem for Utah is because a lot of teams, this happens to a lot of the middle of the pack playoff teams.
Yeah,
is they get stuck in like purgatory as far as how good and bad they are.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is a lot of the times it's a little bit more clear when you're a first round exit.
Mm-hmm.
When you're just a team that can make the playoffs but can't really beat anybody, that kind of clears it up as to, okay, we're not good enough, like we have to make moves.
Yeah.
Utah is a step above that because they are capable of winning a round.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see them getting out of the second round.
Right.
And this is kind of where they've been stuck, is they've been able to beat their first opponent pretty much every year.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the second round that kills them every year.
And you know what that means? That means their best player is good, but it's everybody else that needs to change.
And we've known that.
Right. And to me, all those teams that are like that, we have Portland, we have Utah in the East.
Is Quinn Snyder still their coach, right?
Yeah. 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 He got a big bag last year, remember?
That's right.
I think early last year he got a bag.
Here's what I'm looking at with them. And a lot of that is on Quinn Snyder. If they, because there is I think they're capable of getting better.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is they don't seem to learn from their why they lose in the playoffs.
Right.
There's no way you watched Terrence Mann get 40 and still think that our defense will just play through Gobert.
There's no way you watch Terrence Mann get 40 and say we're still gonna just rock with Royce O'Neal and Joe Ingles as our 3 and 4.
But that's that's something I don't think, if they didn't have an active offseason, they can't change that.
Well, that's the problem. They didn't have a good enough active offseason. Royce O'Neal was playing power forward at 6'4" in the playoffs.
No, you're right.
This is insane.
At the end of the day, we're on the same page where they're not good enough.
They're not good enough.
I think if they get a good first round, obviously they could beat Portland.
Yeah.
They could beat, if the Clippers are still going into the first round without Kawhi, they could beat the Clippers, I think.
Yeah, probably.
But are they beating any of the real contenders? No, they're not.
Lakers, Golden State.
I don't think they could beat
probably
Denver.
Not Denver. Yeah. Denver would be the closest, but definitely not Golden State.
I don't think they'll beat LA. Phoenix.
They're not beating Phoenix.
Phoenix is out of their league.
You're not beating Phoenix.
But like you said, the problem is the roster, the rest of the team isn't good enough. But I haven't seen attempts to change that year to year. Not with an active offseason or trades, but the play style is the same.
Exactly.
That's my problem with them.
All they're doing is fixing, fixing the bench doesn't change how you play and doesn't necessarily make you better. It makes you be able to play longer, but very few bench guys make you better. Yes. We look at throughout the league, what team gets 4 bench guys and it makes them immediately a championship team? It doesn't happen.
Yeah. And what? Another thing I kind of want to see from them, and again, specifically Quinn Snyder, let's explore what we could do with this roster.
Mm-hmm.
They have their system of either the Donovan Mitchell show or the the knockoff San Antonio ball movement thing they do.
Yeah.
Of just passing and almost running curls like a high school team.
Yeah.
But my thing is okay, Gobert spent a good chunk of the series getting cooked, but I never saw okay, Gobert doesn't fit against his team. Let's try another lineup.
Right.
That's what I want to see. Again, I don't think they're good enough, but they don't try to be better.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at with them. I would like to see them do something around the trade deadline, something meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't, I hope they explore how they could play towards the playoffs.
Right.
Because I feel like they act like Donovan Mitchell has to carry them, and I think they could do other things.
But the thing is, with their play style, they rely on guys who aren't consistent players to be consistent. Like,
that comes back to haunt them every playoff year.
Every time. And then Donovan has to take over. Like, I'm with you. They do act like that, but it's because they keep letting Royce O'Neal and Joe Ingles take 10 plus shots a game, and it's not working. And then if Bogdanovich isn't getting 25 out of nowhere, or Clarkson isn't coming in off the bench getting a solid like 18, it's just like we can't just keep doing the 5 guards out there, 4 guards and Gobert thing, and just keep working with guys who really aren't scorers.
You're right.
And you just keep having a bunch of role players just trying to see which one of them is going to step up, or which 3 of them will equal another player having a good game. So it's tough.
I guess another way for me to put it would be, I want to see more in-game adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Just thinking back to the Clippers series, like they defended them, like they kind of try to funnel them to having to pass the ball to the guys you and I don't trust.
Right.
But Quinn Snyder didn't do anything about it.
Nope.
Like the Clippers are specifically making Royce O'Neal a decision maker because that's not his game.
Yep.
And you're letting him struggle doing that. And then like the following game, or like a half into it, you're finally putting another guy in that position. Like that's a timeout adjustment.
Yeah.
So I just don't see enough of that.
I agree. And the other thing is, I like Clarkson coming off the bench. Was he 6th man of the year?
Yes.
6th man of the year is great. But generally, I don't want my 6th man to limit my best player, like if they're on the court at the same time. And that could be play style. That could be just who Jordan Clarkson is. I mean, it could be either one, but Clarkson comes in and is like, Donovan has to completely change how he was playing before he got in there. You know, it's almost like they made a trade for like another best player while in mid game sometimes.
Yeah,
it just gets messy, man. It gets messy because Clarkson has to come down and score like every time, and then they have nothing else. Everyone else is just standing around watching. So
that's what they fall back into way too often.
They do.
Either Donovan Mitchell has to save the starting lineup, or Clarkson has to save the bench.
Right, and then they can't coexist.
Both of those guys, like you said, to start with, maybe I don't know about Clarkson, but like Donovan is good enough.
Yeah, he is.
But that's not getting you through the playoffs.
Right.
So hopefully we see some growth from them. But I'm not too confident in that.
I like Rudy Gay as a pickup. I think,
I like Pascal as a pickup.
I like Pascal as a pickup a lot.
Like Pascal is a guy who I could throw out if Gobert's getting cooked by his matchup.
Yeah. And
like
he's
that's
another
a potential move to make.
You don't have to keep messing around with having guards playing power forward. You have someone who actually can play power forward, who can spread the floor, mismatch. He's strong. Rudy Gay is another guy, spread the floor, mismatch, veteran. So, all right. You want to talk about Memphis or New Orleans?
Memphis, definitely.
Okay.
Does Memphis get better than they've been the last 2 years?
Not to me. I think Valanciunas was the perfect big man for them. I like Steven Adams. I think Steven Adams is cool. I like what he did with Westbrook. It worked pretty well, but I don't know how I like him on this team. I like the dynamic Valanciunas brought to this team. That was the big.
Valanciunas went to the Pelicans, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That to me was a big switch for them, play style wise. But I think Dylan Brooks emerging is nice. I think getting Jarrett Culver is pretty cool. I think Brandon Clark emerging is nice. Jaren Jackson should be healthy all season this year. I like Eves Pons. I like what I've seen from him so far. My fellow Tennessee alumni. That's it, though, man. I don't think they got better at all.
They didn't get better, and their roster is like we've kind of seen what their ceiling could be.
Yeah, and they took a step down to me.
My thing is, if they are to get better, it comes down to their star player.
Morant.
It's Morant's got to continue to get better as a point guard.
Yeah.
He's got to continue to get more consistent with how he makes decisions. He can't just be a Showtime player.
No, he can't.
There's got to be more. You got to be able to be involved in half court sets.
Yep.
You got to be able to keep the defense honest as far as taking shots.
Yep.
Like I do think individually, I think either last year or the year before, remember I criticized him not really having a floater.
Yeah.
He's worked on that.
He has, yeah.
So he is getting better. And I'm curious for this team to have potential to take step forward, it's got to start with him.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have too much else to say about them. The roster is atrocious.
But they always overachieve, so I think they'll do the same thing this year.
Yeah, but Valanciunas gave them so much inside, man. So much. He worked so hard. And Steven Adams has those lulls where he just
he doesn't work that hard. You're right.
He will just watch somebody drive to the basket, or he'll just like push his man into the other guy. He's lazy sometimes when he doesn't have to be, because he's really athletic. He's a beast. Great touch, but he's not going to give you that work ethic that Valanciunas.
He doesn't have like that Valanciunas ethic or like an Ayton or like a Mason Plumlee. Right. I would like to see more from him with that.
Yeah. So we'll see if he brings that, but that's really it.
Memphis would be the team, though.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Could be. How old is he now? I wonder. 93.
27, 8?
Yeah, 28.
Let's talk about the Pelicans a little bit, though.
Okay. I love what they did. Yeah.
They clearly addressed the coaching problem.
Yep.
I think the team has a little bit more of like a structure moving forward.
Yep.
We've committed to two star players, so now we could build around that.
And they added vets,
And they added vets, which is exactly what you got to do to help young stars progress.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the reason I like them a lot is because they had a very self-aware offseason.
They did. And they added contributing vets. I think Garrett Temple, I'm not a fan of his, but he comes to a team and he immediately brings this very competitive. He brings this backup leadership where I feel like he talks to all the bench players. He's like the captain of the bench players,
Yeah.
Satoransky, been a team player his whole career. He's played all over the world, plays with all different kind of guys. Yeah. Minutes, he's very versatile, could play a bunch of positions. He's just a baller. Just put him out there. He'll play whatever he needs to play. I liked them picking up Herb Jones. I think they drafted him. He Alabama, I think. Really athletic, long. He played like every position there. I think he was nice. He's a nice backup to Brandon Ingram if he ever emerges at that point. And then obviously Valanciunas, huge, works hard. Him and Zion are going to be ridiculous on the boards. He's a really good putback guy. that's one thing Adams doesn't do that well. Adams is kind of like how Tyson Chandler would rather tap it out than get the rebound and just try to score.
Adams
again.
has always been like that also, yeah.
Yeah. Valanciunas, he gets the rebound, he's going right back up.
But the problem, like the difference is Tyson was such a menace on the boards.
Yeah.
That it made an impact because he's getting so many extra possessions.
Yep.
Adams does it every now and then. It doesn't really matter.
Right. Otherwise, he just kind of more prevents the other guys from getting rebounds more than he gets rebounds. So Valanciunas changes that. And then my favorite pickup, man, Devontae Graham, a steal from Charlotte. And he's the legit point guard that they, were kind of looking for out of Ball. Ball's, not really a leader. He's really silent. He's isolated. And Graham is the guy, he's been a leader his whole basketball career. Led Kansas for 4 years. Then he came to, Charlotte, kind of a late bloomer, but as soon as he got his shot, he became a leader before he even fully emerged as an actual player. So
and I completely agree.
Great pickup for them, man. Kept Hart. I don't know what Jackson Hayes' situation is going to be, but kept him.
I think it's huge that Graham is specifically a play style leader.
Yeah, he is.
He leads by example really well. And that's because I didn't think they needed Lonzo to be a vocal leader necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But they needed somebody to step up and raise their level of aggression.
Yeah.
And Graham is exactly the name I would think if I'm looking for a guy like that.
And he's a big shot taker, big shot maker. He's one of those guys that if the play was for Ingram and Ingram's not there, he's taking it. And that's it. Yeah. And he lives with that. And that's how he rolls, Not going to force it to somebody. He's just going to do what he does. He's just a good basketball player. Yeah. He is.
Again, their development comes down to Ingram and Zion's improvements.
Yep.
But I do have one concern I think I have for them is their defense was awful.
Yeah, it was.
Last year. And a lot of that I think is some of the personnel they still have because Zion is very, very disappointing defensively so far.
Yeah.
Adams, Valanciunas, rebounding you upgraded, but defensively, to me, it's not a significant upgrade.
No. Valanciunas is good, back to the basket defender, but he's not a good help defender at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So to me, if they're serious about making a playoff push, they're going to have to defend.
Yeah, they are.
So that's probably the biggest key for them, even beyond their star improvements.
Yep. And we'll see what Willie Green does with that. He has Jaron Collins as his assistant coach. He has Corey Brewer as assistant player development. So I like that. I like the ex-players, a lot of experience.
And Willie Green was on the Warriors for a while as an assistant, right?
Yeah, he was on the Warriors, and I believe he went somewhere else after that. He was coaching Detroit Mercy, it says.
Okay, so he has some coaching experience.
Oh, yeah. Okay. He does. Yep. I'm not sure all the coaching experience he has, but yeah. Yep. Okay. Who else do we have in the West that is really worth mentioning? I think this is the first time the East is a lot better than the West, my opinion.
I agree.
Minnesota, I have nothing to say. Nothing
Trash. At all. A lot of losses.
Houston, we already talked about. San Antonio, I have nothing to say. Sacramento, I have nothing to say.
Yeah, I don't like when teams don't address their biggest issue.
Yeah.
And when it's so glaring like it is in San Antonio, it really bothers me that they didn't address that.
And Oklahoma City, I have nothing to say.
Oh. I wouldn't. They're a contender. They're a favorite for first pick in the draft next year.
Yeah, they're just gonna rock with the young guys until they hit it big, I guess.
I mean, they have a lot of picks coming up, so they could easily suck for a couple years and then, go off.
Trust the process. I don't have anyone else in Dallas. I don't have much to say about Dallas. I don't think they've made any significant changes today.
I told you, I think last year, to me, Luka just needs to get in better shape.
Yeah, Luka needs to get in better shape. I think obviously the coaching change is significant, but I think they'll just need to just play around Luka better. I don't know what else to say about it, really.
And it's more so like him being a little more engaged in the game.
Yeah.
Because he's either dominating the game or he's just letting the team play without him.
Right.
And I would like to see a little more balance, a little more involvement, like while not necessarily getting like a ridiculous stats.
Yeah.
But I saw it in the later Clipper games. He ran out of gas every game, just like I talked about with Embiid against the Hawks.
Yeah. Yep. They got Reggie Bullock. They got obviously Frank Tilakina.
Good replacement for losing Richardson.
Yeah. Really solid replacement. Yeah. And I think that is it as far as pickups. They had Sterling Brown, Moses Brown. I
would like to see also, I guess, when we get to the playoffs, I need Porzingis to be the second best player.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to eat, but don't just be another teammate.
You think he's going to do that with Jason Kidd's stern motivations?
I don't know, man. He's a hard guy to figure out. So
yeah.
It also there seems to be some kind of chemistry issues between him and Luka, even though I don't think it's like too significant.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't I don't see them interacting on the court.
Yeah.
There's really no leadership or friendship between the two of them.
And I didn't really see a lot of plays for both of them to get off from Carlisle. And not that Carlisle wasn't doing a good job. I think he was. But it was more like using Porzingis as just another good player out there. And Luka's still running the show versus having like any two-man game, any pick and roll, like ISOs or triangle offense, anything like that for them. I didn't see a lot of it.
Yeah.
And part of it is because Luka, I don't see Luka catch and shoot often. So it's like, if he has to dribble,
what is very Harden-esque with how he dominates the ball to create.
Yeah. Yes.
But
and the team suffers because of that.
But to me, Porzingis was so average that some of it is like you have to be more aggressive.
Yeah, it is.
Because I saw a guy for them who I kind of hoped would be their third best player, and he did start to show flashes, was Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't a coaching adjustment or anything like schematically. It was just him being more aggressive, looking for his shot more.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the games I remember watching, that's all Porzingis. I wanted Porzingis to do is just to try to score more, be more of a threat. Don't just kick out to whoever.
Yeah, I agree. But then there was other times I also felt that it looked like Porzingis wasn't going to get another chance when he got the ball. It was like he didn't get a lot of room to make mistakes. And, with guys like that, you got to let them get a couple shots off, feed him again, get a shot off, feed him. And if he doesn't, then you move on from it. But it seemed like sometimes he'd take a ill-advised shot, or maybe it wasn't great shot, and then we wouldn't see Porzingis touch the ball or on offense again for the rest of the quarter, And like you said, that goes on him as well. because he could fight. He's 7'3", he can get rebounds, but yeah, it definitely seemed like maybe it's a confidence issue. I don't know.
Some of it, I also agree. I think could be attributed to coaching because, like, he floated on the perimeter almost completely.
Yeah,
and I didn't see an effort to get him inside.
No, me either.
It's one thing if they're trying to get you to cut, and you're instead of posting up at the block, you're at the wing practically.
Right.
But I didn't really see the designs to try to get him good positioning or like a roll. Just again, he's 7'3".
Yeah, and even when Luka came out and like they had to go with Brunson and Burke, I saw nothing saying like, all right, Porzingis is the best player in the game right now, so let's use him. I never saw any of that. So
guards just played like it was 5 average players out there.
Yeah, they played like it was the whole second string. It was all second string. So I thought that was strange as well. Now, who was the coach in New York when he got drafted? Not Mike Woodson.
Was it Mike Woodson? It wasn't, bro. They've had bombs coaching. They had like Derek Fisher. Was he there to start with?
No. I don't think he was there when he was a rookie. Maybe it was Woodson or D'Antoni was there at one point. I don't know. But whoever it was,
before, I think,
definitely had him playing at a completely different level than we saw in Dallas. Even given the injury situation, I still thought he would have a little more energy. I haven't even seen him catch like a legit alley-oop in a long time. And in New York, he was catching them twice a game. So,
but again, I saw more fire from him in New York.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
So I don't know how much of that is him. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, man. But he's also healthy coming into the year.
Yeah.
He did battle some injuries last year, so if he could stay healthy this year, I'd be curious to see what they look like.
Yeah, me too. Okay, what else we got, man? Any more NBA?
No, we've touched on every team. Yeah, man, I'm hyped for this season.
Next week we could talk about our MVP predictions.
We could predict most of the awards, I think.
Yeah, we'll do that next week because we got more to get on today. Well, do you want to talk about any NFL today? Do you have anything?
No, it's been a while. I'll save it for next week.
Save it, okay. WNBA finals have been exciting so far. Just wanted to throw that out there. Make sure I mention them because I've been watching. They've been hype. Taurasi, Candace Parker, two of the greatest out there. What else we got? Anything?
I think that's it.
All right. As always, thank you for listening. This concludes episode 158, and we will talk to you guys next week. More football, our award predictions for the NBA, and all that. Oh, wait, Fury and Wilder. Did you watch it?
No, I saw the highlights. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Crazy fight.
Yeah, shout out to Fury, man. I mean, we mentioned it last pod, so I want to make sure brought it up again. I almost forgot. Tyson Fury knocked Deontay Wilder out. I mean, we talked. I'm sure everyone knows that. Who cares? But
I had a friend who I only talked about the fight after it happened.
Yeah.
But he lost a lot of money betting on Wilder.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I told him, like, I wouldn't have put money on Wilder coming into it.
Yeah.
Considering what happened last time. So
right.
It's just Wilder has that like thing where you want to root for him.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a clear skill gap here.
It is. Yeah.
And a lot of that is just Tyson Fury being great.
Yeah, and you know, as they always say, styles make fights. Tyson Fury has a perfect style to beat Wilder every time. He really does. And the thing is, Wilder tires out. Tyson Fury takes the punch very well.
Dude, Fury is gigantic.
Yeah,
I think we talked about
40
it.
pounds.
Yeah, we talked about it. Like, how wild is that?
He's huge, man.
He put that weight on and still, like, he didn't look slow.
No.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. And he's very underrated skill-wise as a boxer, I think.
Yeah, he is. He is. I also think that Wilder might have been overrated skill-wise.
No, I think I think a lot of people realize that he's skill-wise he sucks.
No, but I'm saying before this trilogy, I think he was overrated skill-wise because he had beat so many guys.
I agree. But yeah, that's because he was hiding it by playing to his strengths, knocking dudes out.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Yep. Okay. We'll be back next week. Talk everything I mentioned earlier. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys next time.